The biggest problem a lot of us have is that we keep trying to control everything. You wake up stressed, go to bed stressed, and carry the weight of the world on your shoulders because you think if you don't fix it, it won't get fixed. You sit there replaying scenarios in your head, figuring out how to manipulate, how to move, how to manage. But the truth is, you're not in control of as much as you think. And the harder you try to grip it, the more it slips through your fingers. There are some things only God can handle. There are situations that no amount of strategy, no amount of phone calls, no amount of networking can fix. And if you're honest, you've tried before, haven't you? You tried to force doors open. You tried to make people stay who were meant to leave. You tried to work yourself into exhaustion trying to hold everything together. But nothing stuck because it wasn't your battle to fight. See, life gets lighter when you learn how to let go. Let go of that stress. Let go of that constant need to be in charge. Let go of that feeling that you got to have an answer for everything. Because the moment you release it, that's the moment God can step in. He's not going to wrestle you for control. If you got your hands on it, He'll let you have it until you finally say, I can't do this anymore. It's not easy to let go because it feels like weakness. It feels like giving up. But really, letting go is the strongest thing you can do. You're saying, God, I trust you more than I trust me. You're saying, I don't need to have all the answers because I know you already got them. That's not surrendering defeat, that's surrendering the weight. And think about it. Has all that worrying ever solved anything? You've worried yourself sick before and the problem still didn't change. But somehow, when you stopped obsessing, when you just took your hands off, something worked but that you couldn't even explain. That's not coincidence, that's God. You can't live a peaceful life carrying battles that don't belong to you. Your job is to do your part, but stop thinking you got to do God's part too. That's what's keeping you drained. That's what's keeping you up at night. That's what's making you feel like you're losing your mind. The freedom starts when you release it. Stop trying to manage what you were never meant to manage. Stop trying to fix what only God can fix. When you finally let go, you'll realize He had it under control the whole time. It's easy to say you got faith when life is good, when the bills are paid, when everybody likes you, when your health is strong, when doors are opening. That's not real faith, that's comfort. Anybody can smile when nothing's wrong, but real faith shows up when life knocks the wind out of you. Faith shows up when the doctor gives you a diagnosis that scares you. Faith shows up when you get that eviction notice on the door. Faith shows up when your job lets you go and you don't know how you're going to feed your kids. That's when you find out if you really believe what you've been saying or if it was just words. When you can stand in the middle of a storm and say, I don't know how, but God is going to make a way, that's faith. When you can cry at night but still wake up in the morning saying, I trust you, that's faith. When you can't see a way forward but you keep walking anyway, that's faith. See, faith isn't built on everything going right. Faith is built on everything going wrong and you still believe. That's why it's called trust. You're trusting in what you cannot see. You're trusting in a God you can't always feel. You're trusting in a promise you can't always trace. And you're not the only one. Every person who's ever experienced a breakthrough had to go through a test. Abraham had to go through it. Job had to go through it. Joseph had to go through it. They all got tested. And those tests are not to break you. They're to prove you. Think about it. A car ain't called reliable until it's been tested. A bridge ain't trusted until it's been tested. Your faith ain't faith until it gets tested. And the test is what makes you strong enough to carry the blessing. So when you feel the pressure, when you feel the heat, when life feels like it's falling apart, don't panic. Recognize it for what it is, a test. And if God is testing you, it's because He's preparing you for something greater. We live in a world where everything is now. We got fast food, instant messages, same-day shipping, and next-day delivery. And somehow we expect God to work like Amazon. We pray and then get mad because He didn't answer in 2 days. But you got to understand, God don't move on your clock. His timing and your timing are not the same. You think you're ready for what you've been praying for, but God knows what's waiting around the corner. He sees the traps, He sees the wrong people, He sees the immaturity in you that still needs to grow, and He loves you too much to give you something too soon. And that delay you're frustrated about, that's protection. Think about it. If you gave a car to a child, that blessing would kill them. Not because the car is bad, but because the child isn't ready. And sometimes you're asking God for something that's good, but you're not ready to handle it yet. So He makes you wait, not to punish you, but to prepare you. And you can't rush Him. You can try all you want. You can stomp your feet, cry your tears, complain to your friends, but until God says it's time, nothing's going to happen. And the crazy thing is, when it is time, you won't have to force it. The door will swing open so naturally you'll wonder why you ever worried in the first place. See, while you're pacing, God is planning. While you're worrying, He's aligning. He's putting the right people in place. He's setting up the right opportunities. He's arranging things behind the scenes. Just because you don't see it moving doesn't mean it's not moving. The worst thing you can do is get impatient and settle. You're tired of waiting, so you take the first thing that shows up, and then later you realize it wasn't what God had for you. Don't rush the process. God's timing is worth the wait. So stop looking at the calendar and start looking at the Creator. Stop stressing over when and start trusting who. Because when God says it's your time, no devil in hell, no person on earth, no obstacle in your path can stop it. Some of you are stuck, not because of where you're going, but because of what you won't let go of. You're dragging dead weight from yesterday into your today. You're replaying old mistakes, old failures, old relationships, old hurts, and the more you keep looking back, the harder it is to move forward. You can't grab hold of tomorrow while your hands are full of yesterday. You can't step into a new chapter if you're still rereading the old one. Some of you have cried over the same thing for years. You've carried anger, guilt, or shame so long it feels normal. But just because it feels normal doesn't mean it's good for you. Think about this. If you drive a car staring in the rearview mirror, you're going to crash. That mirror is small for a reason. Your windshield is big for a reason. Where you're headed matters more than where you've been. But if you keep focusing on what's behind you, you'll miss what's in front of you. Yes, it hurt. Yes, they betrayed you. Yes, you lost something you thought you couldn't live without. Nobody's saying it didn't happen. But you got to make a decision. Am I going to live in the past, or am I going to step into the future? Because you can't do both. God already forgave you for that mistake, but you keep punishing yourself. That relationship already ended, but you keep checking their page, wondering why they don't call. That opportunity already closed, but you keep reliving it in your mind, and while you're stuck there, life is moving on without you. Letting go doesn't mean you forget. It means you refuse to be chained to it. It means you learn the lesson and keep moving. It means you don't allow the pain of yesterday to control the promise of tomorrow. There's a reason why doors close. If you keep trying to reopen what God shut, you'll miss the new door He's trying to open for you. So stop holding on to what's already done and start trusting what's about to begin. The hardest part of faith is walking when you can't see where you're going. We want the whole plan. We want God to lay out step 1 through step 10. We want to know the when, the where, the how, and the why. But that's not how God works. He gives you just enough light for the step you're on. Faith is taking the step even when the path is dark. Faith is moving forward even when you don't have all the answers. Faith is saying, God, I don't see the whole staircase, but if you told me to take the first step, I'll take it. That's what trust looks like. If you're waiting to have the full picture before you move, you'll be waiting forever. Because God doesn't reveal the whole thing. He reveals it piece by piece. And the more you trust Him with each step, the clearer the path becomes. Think about Abraham. God told him to leave his country, his family, everything familiar, and go to a land He would show him. Notice He didn't even tell him where. Just go. And Abraham went. That's the kind of trust God is asking from you. It's scary because the unknown makes us uncomfortable. We like predictability. We like to be in control. But comfort zones never produce growth. And if you want to step into what God has for you, you got to be willing to walk into places you don't understand yet. Every major blessing in your life will come with a season of not knowing how, not knowing when, not knowing why. And that's exactly where God wants you, because when it happens, you won't be able to take credit. You'll have to say, that was all Him. So stop trying to map out the whole journey. Just trust Him with the next step. He already knows the destination. All He's asking from you is obedience. So many of us give up too soon. The moment something goes wrong, we throw in the towel. We assume it's over, that God forgot us, that the dream is dead. But you got to learn the difference between a setback and the end. Just because it didn't work out the way you planned doesn't mean it's over. A setback is not the end of your story. It's just part of the story. Every great success comes with setbacks. Ask anybody who's ever accomplished something worth talking about. They all hit walls, they all got rejected, they all failed at something, but they didn't stop. They kept moving. You got laid off, that's not the end. Maybe that job was keeping you from the one God really had for you. That relationship broke apart, that's not the end. Maybe God had to remove the wrong person so the right one could enter. That plan fell through, that's not the end. It's a setup for a better plan. See, sometimes God allows setbacks because He's redirecting you. You thought you were did one way, but He knew that way wasn't good for you. So He closed the door, not to hurt you, but to push you toward where you're really supposed to be. And let's be real, sometimes you wouldn't move if He didn't push you. You'd stay in comfort, you'd stay in safe places. But the setback forces you to stretch, to think differently, to trust differently. It pushes you closer to Him. If you can shift your perspective, you'll see setbacks as setups. You'll stop crying over what didn't work out and start expecting what God is setting up, because what He's preparing is always greater than what you lost. So the next time you hit a wall, don't panic, don't throw in the towel, step back, take a breath and say, okay, God, I see you moving me, show me where to go next. The world tells you to fight for everything, push harder, hustle more, don't quit. And yes, there's a time for persistence, but there's also a time to surrender. And surrender doesn't mean weakness, it means wisdom. When you surrender, you're saying, God, I can't carry this on my own anymore. That's not giving up, that's handing it over. That's saying, I'm strong enough to admit I need you. And that's the smartest, strongest decision you'll ever make. See, you're not built to carry the weight of the world. That's why you're tired all the time. That's why your mind races. That's why your body is stressed. You're carrying something that was never meant for you to carry. But the moment you surrender, the weight lifts. It's like when a kid is struggling to carry a bag that's too heavy. They try until they finally look up at their father and say, Daddy, can you help me? And the Father picks it up with ease. That's what God is waiting for. He's waiting for you to stop pretending like you got it under control and just ask for help. Surrender is not saying, I quit. It's saying, I'm shifting the weight. You're not throwing your dreams away. You're just putting them in God's hands. And His hands are safer than yours will ever be. And you'll notice this, when you finally surrender, peace comes. The anxiety quiets down. The stress eases up, because you're no longer wrestling with something that was never yours to fix. So stop letting pride keep you struggling. Stop letting fear keep you carrying it alone. Surrender is strength. Surrender is power. Surrender is freedom. One of the biggest traps in life is living for people's opinions. You'll spend your whole life trying to please people who don't even see it as are about you. You'll bend over backwards trying to get approval from folks who wouldn't clap for you, even if you gave them the world. And the crazy part is, most of the people you're worried about are just as lost as you. You got to understand, people don't control your destiny. They don't hold your future. They don't write your story. So why are you giving them that much power? The only voice that matters is God's voice. The only opinion that matters is His opinion. Everybody else is just noise. You can't fulfill your calling if you're chained to opinions. Some of y'all won't step out on your dreams because you're afraid of being laughed at. You won't leave that toxic situation because you're afraid of being judged. You won't walk in your purpose because you're afraid of being misunderstood. But listen, purpose and popularity rarely go together. Jesus himself wasn't liked by everybody. They criticized him, they mocked him, they talked about him. If the Son of God couldn't avoid haters, what makes you think you will? The goal is not to be liked. It's to be obedient. The goal is not to impress, it's to fulfill your assignment. And here's the truth. No matter what you do, somebody will always have something to say. If you fail, they'll laugh. If you succeed, they'll gossip. If you stay quiet, they'll assume. If you speak up, they'll criticize. So if people are going to talk anyway, you might as well live free. You got to stop letting their opinions paralyze you. You don't need their approval to step into what God already approved. When God says yes, it doesn't matter who says no. When God opens the door, it doesn't matter who tries to block it. So lift your head, stop shrinking, and stop apologizing for who God made you. You're not here to fit in. You're here to stand out. Their opinion can't stop your blessing. Only God decides that. Everybody wants success, but nobody wants the process. We want the blessing, but we don't want the breaking. We want the crown, but we don't want the cross. But the truth is, growth always comes with pain. And if you're in a season that hurts, it doesn't mean God left you. It means He's shaping you. Pain is proof that something is changing. It's uncomfortable because you're being stretched. You're being pulled out of what's familiar. You're being molded into someone stronger, wiser, better prepared. And the process doesn't always make sense, but it always makes you better. Think about how gold is refined. It has to go through fire. Think about how diamonds are made. They're crushed and pressured. Think about how muscles grow. They have to be torn first. Nothing valuable is produced without a painful process. But here's what happens. When it starts hurting, we assume something's wrong. We think, God must not love me. But the opposite is true. Whom God loves, He disciplines. Whom God loves, He grows. If He's allowing the process, it's because He sees something greater in you. You don't pray for patience and then wake up patient. You get put in situations where you have to wait. You don't pray for strength and then magically feel strong. You get put in storms that require you to fight. You don't pray for faith and then instantly believe. You get tested in ways that force you to trust. So stop cursing the process. Don't let the pain fool you into that. Thinking God abandoned you. The process is proof that He's still working. It's proof that you're still in His hands. And when the process is over, you won't even recognize yourself. You'll look back and say, it hurt, but it made me. Safe is comfortable. Safe feels good. Safe doesn't require risk. But safe will never take you to greatness. Safe will never unlock your calling. Safe will keep you stuck in average when God is calling you to extraordinary. Some of you are still in situations you outgrew a long time ago because it's safe. You know it's not fulfilling. You know it's not where you're supposed to be. But you stay because it's familiar. And the danger of safe is that it tricks you into thinking you're secure when really you're stuck. God didn't create you to play small. He didn't create you to hide behind what's comfortable. Every great move of God requires you to step out of the boat. You can't walk on water if you stay where it's safe. You can't experience miracles if you never leave the comfort zone. Look at every story of faith. You'll see risk. Noah built an ark when it had never rained. Moses stood in front of Pharaoh with nothing but a stick. David faced a giant with a slingshot. None of that was safe, but it was necessary. Safe is the enemy of faith. Safe says, don't try. Faith says, go anyway. Safe says, you'll fail. Faith says, God will make a way. Safe says, stay here. Faith says, step out. The truth is, you'll never know what God has for you if you never take the risk. You'll never see the fullness of His plan if you stay locked in safe places. Safe feels good now, but it'll keep you wondering what if later. So stop clinging to comfort and start chasing calling. Safe might protect you from failure, but it'll also keep you from destiny. We love to plan. We got vision boards, 5-year plans, bucket lists, and there's nothing wrong with planning, but sometimes life flips it all upside down. You think you know the route, and then suddenly the route changes. That's not failure. That's God's reroute. See, you think you know what's best for you, but God sees what you can't see. He sees the traps, the wrong people, the heartbreak ahead. And when He shifts your plans, it's not to hurt you, it's to protect you. His plan will always outdo yours. Think about the times you begged God for something and later thanked Him. He didn't give it to you. That job you thought was perfect, that relationship you thought you couldn't live without, that opportunity you cried over when it slipped away. Now you can look back and say, if I had gotten that, I wouldn't be where I am today. That's the beauty of His plan. It may not make sense in the moment, but it always makes sense in the end. And when His plan unfolds, you realize it was better, higher, and bigger than anything you imagined. But the problem is, we get mad when He interrupts ours. We pout, we complain, we tell God, this isn't what I wanted. But just because it's not what you wanted doesn't mean it's not what you needed. Your plan is limited by what you see. His plan is infinite because He sees everything. And when you let go of your blueprint and trust His, life opens up in ways you never thought possible. So stop crying over the plan that didn't work. Start trusting the plan that's about to unfold. Fear and faith are opposites. They can't live in the same house. One will drive, and the other will have to sit in the back. And whichever one you feed is the one that wins. Fear whispers, what if you fail? Faith declares, what if you succeed? Fear says, stay where it's safe. Faith says, step out and trust. Fear says, it's impossible. Faith says, with God, all things are possible. And the truth is, fear will paralyze you. It'll keep you from moving, keep you from dreaming, keep you from trying. Fear will have you watching other people live the life you wanted because you never took the step. But faith will take you places you never thought you could go. Faith will make you apply for that job you don't feel qualified for. Faith will make you start that business with nothing but an idea. Faith will make you walk into rooms you thought were too big for you. The battle is not whether fear shows up. It always will. The battle is who you let control the wheel. If you give fear the driver's seat, you'll always end up stuck. But if you give faith the wheel, fear has no choice but to sit down and be quiet. God didn't give you a spirit of fear. That means fear is not from Him. So if fear is running your life, you're letting the wrong voice guide you. It's time to kick fear out of your spirit and let faith rise up. Because fear will hold you hostage, but faith will set you free. A lot of us pray, but we don't release. We go to God, pour our heart out, and then pick the problem back up as soon as we say amen. That's not trust. That's venting. Prayer is not just telling God your worries. Prayer is giving them to Him and walking away knowing He's got it. When you release it, you're saying, God, I believe you more than I believe my fear. When you release it, you're saying, I don't need to figure it out because I know you already have. That's what peace comes from, not in knowing the outcome, but in knowing who holds it. Think about it. If you hired a mechanic to fix your car, would you stand over him the whole time, stressing, telling him how to do his job? No, you'd leave it with him and trust he knows what he's doing. If you can trust a mechanic with your car, why can't you trust God with your life? Prayer is not a burden you pick back up. It's a transfer. You're moving the weight from your shoulders to His, and He can carry it better than you ever could. But here's why most people don't release it. They want control. They want to feel like they're doing something. But real faith is saying, even if I don't see it, I believe it. That's what makes prayer powerful. Stop rehearsing the problem and start trusting the promise. Stop praying out of panic and start praying out of confidence. God already heard you. He already knows what you need. He's already working it out. So when you pray, don't just speak it. Release it. Leave it there and let Him handle it. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. Some of you are discouraged because you thought by now it would be different. By now you'd be further along. By now you'd be married. By now you'd be successful. And because it hasn't happened, you think God said no. But a delay is not a denial. Sometimes God says not yet because what He's preparing takes time. Some blessings are too big to come quickly. They need maturity. They need alignment. They need everything in the right place. If He gave it to you too soon, it wouldn't last. Think about food. You don't eat it half-cooked. You wait until it's ready. And some of the blessings you're waiting for are still in the oven. Don't walk away from the kitchen just because it's taking longer than you expected. Delays also build strength. Waiting forces you to lean on God instead of yourself. Waiting grows your patience, your endurance, your trust. And when the blessing finally comes, you'll appreciate it more because of the wait. The enemy will try to convince you that delay means denial. He'll whisper, "If it hasn't happened by now, it never will." But that's a lie. God's promises don't expire. His word doesn't run out of time. So stop panicking because the calendar doesn't match your expectations. God doesn't work on your schedule. He works on His, and His timing is always right on time. Don't mistake the pause for a period. The story isn't finished yet. Life won't always make sense. There will be seasons where nothing adds up. The math don't work. The plans don't flow. The people you counted on disappear. And in those seasons, the hardest thing to do is trust. But that's exactly when trust matters most. You don't have to understand everything to trust God. You don't have to see the full picture to know He's painting something beautiful. You don't have to know why it's happening. You just have to know who's in control. Some of you are stuck because you're waiting for explanations, but God doesn't owe you explanations. He gives you promises, and His promises are greater than your understanding. Think about Job. He lost everything. He didn't understand why. He cried out. He questioned, he grieved, but through it all, he never stopped trusting. And in the end, God restored him double. That's the power of trusting without understanding. Trusting God in confusion is not easy, but it's where faith gets real. Anybody can trust when it makes sense. Real faith is trusting when it doesn't. Real faith is saying, "God, I don't get it, but I'm still with you." And let me tell you, when you come out of those seasons, you'll look back and realize every unanswered question had a purpose. Every confusing moment was a setup. Every tear was watering your future. So stop waiting for everything to make sense. Trust Him even when it doesn't, because He knows what He's doing even when you don't. You can't stay stuck where you are. God is calling you higher. But to step into your next season, you got to let go. Let go of fear, let go of doubt, let go of yesterday, let go of control. You can't step forward if your hands are still full of the past. God can't give you new if you won't release old. He can't fill your hands if you refuse to empty them. Some of you have been holding on so tightly that your fists are clenched. And God is saying, "Open your hands so I can bless you." Every season requires a shift. What worked in the last season won't work in this one. The habits, the people, the mindset, it all has to change. You can't carry old baggage into a new chapter. It's scary to step into new because you don't know what's waiting. But that's where trust comes in. You don't need to know what's there. You just need to know who's there. And if God is already in your next season, you can walk in with confidence. Don't let fear keep you in places you outgrew. Don't let comfort hold you hostage. Don't let memories of yesterday block the miracles of tomorrow. When God says move, move. You've been praying for change, and God is saying, take the step. You've been asking for breakthrough, and God is saying, trust me with the next. The door is open. You just got to walk through it. Your next season is calling, but it requires one thing: letting go and trusting Him completely.